out tonight, so we're trying to fill up the already jam-packed EVM Convention Center. You see just a few seats. So our producers here have given me word that, hey, maybe there's a few more seats in the back. I'm looking at a dozen more. Come on down. Just tell me you want to see tonight's marquee main event as we prep up going into the draft.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see how this is going to be broken down from the side of RRQ and Korea. They've made a lot of good attempts. And, you know, watching their leagues itself, you can see that they are clearly above and beyond everybody in South America. But once you come over to Southeast Asia, that's where the reality starts to hit you, right? That's where you see the level of polish that we've been talking about all this time and why we're so used to it. Look at that. We're seeing the Arlet, the Faramis, the Wanwan immediately banned out for Blacklist International playing on the blue side, and RRQ, Joy, Nolan, a lot of dashing assassins on the red side.
Again, just to put things into perspective, it's a chess battle right now with these generals at the helm. Coach Master the Basics, Coach Dexter, going up against Coach Cabral, former XP laner of the lineup that Luis once was part of. Going into the first picks, what's left open? I'm looking at a Matilda still out there, Angela, couple of key pickups. Guinevere, oh!
It's all up. It really is all up. A lot of power picks often, but this varies amongst teams, right? So far, in terms of success rate, blue side, pretty good. And there it is, the Guinevere.
Solid choice, first pick. Again, you know, this is still flexible, at least from what we've seen up to this point. Could even go in the roam, could obviously go in the jungle here. We saw so much, I would say, improvement from Sensui alone over the course of these months here. And also, the fact that, again, they didn't send this group, over to MPLI, right? Because the whole purpose of that was to expand their hero pool. That's kind of what they talked about. They really wanted to prepare for this. Now, begs the question, what's going to happen here with their draft? But on the flip side, RQ Akira already going to lock in the Claude here and that Baksha pick.
I don't know, especially for RQ Akira. As much as I like to believe that Gusta Lagusta, he is a beast when he gets his hands on that Claude. I want him to have a more lane-dominant matchup. I was expecting something along the lines of maybe holding up that Bruno instead of banning it to pick it up for themselves.
Well, in today's metagame, again, we're about 2 days straight into broadcast and the competition. Claude has seen some modicum of success, so it's all about execution, and with the Baksha by his side, they can own parts of the map. Blacklist claps back, putting the Brody into Ohem's hands, and the Lilia in Uiz. This doesn't confirm anything, though, where the Guinevere goes.
Yeah, still up in the air, you know, and I think that's the strength here, the strength play. But these picks coming out really quickly, and, you know, I got to say, it's mostly just how confident they're going to work around showing these picks right now, flexing the Guinevere possibly, depending when we get to that second phase.
Yeah, I think for now, at least hiding it is a very good idea to stay flexible. The Valentina gets locked in for the side of RRQ Akira, just to kind of agree with the same sentiment, right? If you're going to hide your picks, at the very least I know that I have escape mechanisms and tools to finish you off if you are below a certain percentage of health. But as we go into the second phase, right, this is where it gets dangerous. RRQ making sure that, Agent Zero might just get pinched here.
Yeah, no, that's likely the angle. But just the same, is it worth it to attack Edward? Because Tekash also has no hero just yet. I mean, we don't know if that's going to be an XP Baksha, so to say. But at least they have first names. I get it. I see where Cabral's going.
I don't know. It's a little scary to think of throwing this Baksha over into the EXP, because that begs the question, what's so important in the jungle that the EXP must take the bullet for the team? And I don't think there needs to be, it doesn't need to go into that red zone just yet. We see the next man going into the Yuzong, and even Blacklist has started to pick up on the idea of what the EXP lane's matchup is going to start looking like.
Yeah, you want to play hardball? I'm game. So now Cabral has to step on the clutch. I think he's talking to Luis, hey man, this is a good idea. What else do we do? Do we choke it out? What's going to be left for the young Tekash?
I'm really hoping that Benedetta gets slipped through the fingers of both of these teams. Either side will be extremely exciting.
They're both Benedetta specialists.
They are.
Oh, I'm throwing back to Jakarta, and Tekash, that was his breakout hero.
Oh man, there's the, again, focusing on that XP lane, right? Focusing on that, I think that's the right play here, especially for game number one. It is that best of three, and you know they want to start the foot off right, because like you said, Gideon, whichever team here gets that momentum from game one is possibly going to bring them to a sweep if they can get there, right? Now, one thing too is we know how just impactful XP lane can be right now in the current meta and how it shapes out, especially with such a focus on objectives. Now, one thing we pointed out from the wild card when we were there is that teams, there it is, again, Terizla taken out. What is left for the XP lane? Oh, right away!
We're in for a treat!
Right away.
The classics, they're whipping out the classics so quick. Honestly, when I was thinking of classics for this matchup, I'm like, come on. We got to see a Benedetta at some point. We also got to see a Beatrix at some point. But hey, you know, it's still a best of 3. There's plenty of games to be played.
You know what? It's not impossible that we see a Cho from Renegade. Also, a Kaja from Luis. These are key pickups for either team and neither athlete. Both I very love so much on a very deep level, but instead, they pull the trigger. There's the Matilda. We were looking forward to start. And of course, the Edith. All right, you know what? I'm still confused. Nope. Never mind. I know where that Edith's going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's looking real good here, at least for Blacklist International. To me, I think they're the more flexible team, right? It's all about execution at the end of the day and overall team play that really define Blacklist International. So far, I think a lot of weight is put on both OHEB and as well as UA to kind of not only create that space, but be very careful with their positioning. That Benedetta could be deadly, especially with a quick follow-up from a Kufra.
Another. I would say like this is like a signature pick, right? You mentioned earlier what could go in the hands of Luis. This is perfect for the lineup that they're bringing here for game 1.
That's the third in his trinity. The Kaja, the Cho, and the Kufra. Here we go. In just a bit, we're about to get the numbers and the lowdown on these two lineups between Blacklist International and RRQ Akira going into game 1. Gideon, how do you reckon?
The quick breakdown is going to look like RRQ trying to slow down the overall snowball that could be developed by Blacklist International. Keep your eyes on Sensui because he's going to be the big linchpin for this team as they start moving into the mid-games. Those neutral objectives from third turtle onwards is going to be highly contested by RRQ Akira. Hopefully, that's going to be enough for Luis to find that pick.
Here we go, game number 1. We're loading into the land of Dawn. Joseph, Gideon, the rest of the world, welcome. Join us here for game number 1 between RRQ Akira and Blacklist. Let's notice the early rotations. Which of these teams actually might want to go fast?
Well, personally for me, I think it's going to be Blacklist International. There's so much snowball potential with a hero like Guinevere as well as the Brody, both of which can be enablers to start hitting bigger structures rather than playing for neutral objectives. Because keep in mind, that mid lane, UA has to have a good lock on it, and maybe it could be a potential for Luis to punish, but in most situations, especially when you have Purify, it's going to be a little harder than it looks.
Not only that, but you know, so far from what we've seen, I feel like we've been focusing so much, even on the roam potential, Luis, even in the jungle. Again, gold lane in this factor with these two teams is going to be huge, right? We already know signature pick, Gusta Lagusta loves this Claude. We've seen it shine, not only in the way that it can turn the tide of some of these team fights, but even the split push potential later on.
I could hear everybody just get a little nervous there, like, oh, Gusta Lagusta, you can't be given first blood like that so early on. But keep in mind that a lot of the EXP lane bans were targeted towards Edward, and Blacklist International replied. So that's why King is up here to make sure that Edward feels that pressure, and smart decision by Edward to freeze that lane as quickly as he can.
All right, so pressure down bottom from Blacklist, up top it's RRQ. Here they catch him in mid.
We go for Sensui here, but gets out easily with a guiding wind. Again, I'm expecting somewhat of a stalemate until that first turtle comes up here.
Yeah, and even when the first turtle comes up, right, keep your eyes on both the supports. They have a very important role. Like, Renegade not only has to somewhat give information, but also save the team members who won't have their ult in time for the fight or are a little too far deep. And based on what we are seeing from at least the Emblem sector, Yue is making sure that he has the cooldowns to maintain that mid control.
Turtles already spawned. Both teams going for the pull. Blacklist wins. Gonna go for the reset. Looking at the back lines, RRQ Akira reinforcing that. Stolen ult is the Primal Wrath. What's gonna happen? RRQ gets the pull.
See how they play around it. Sensui gonna jump in already with a spatial migration into the Requiem on the backside. They're gonna go. Edward somehow gets the turtle. Still, are they gonna fight for it? Renegade gonna go in with that circle eel. Takashi falls into the jungle. Flicker out from Edward. Renegade one hit away and he'll get out just fine.
That's a little upsetting. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. RRQ Akira made all the right decisions, but we're unable to finish off the two low members of Renegade as well as Edward. And now Gusta Logusta is just taking damage as Oheb is having the time of his life down by gold lane. This was one of the few things that RRQ Akira actually needed so they can start pressing advantages in the side lane.
I hate to say it, but in the 3 minutes that have elapsed, it's clear Blacks International have a mechanical advantage. Every little inch, the little decisions that you make in the fraction of a second makes a difference. It adds up to about 1,000 gold ahead now, even in the gold lane. That's far isolated from what happened in the turtle pit. You can see that Oheb is giving Gusta Lagusta hell.
Oh man, I mean, I think as long as Blacklist International kind of maintain this pace and not give RRQ Akira that initial burst, then it should be fine, right? Because Oheb's already doing a very good job.
Oh, even there, once again, the focus in this gold lane. Blacklist International knows if they're able to get a kill here, even in the hands of Oheb, it's going to give them a big advantage, and that's exactly what they want to do with this momentum play here.
Gentlemen, they're cracking down on Gusta Lagusta. Luis has to play babysitter. This is not how you want to see the Heartbreaker play. He's so mechanically gifted. He was once in the gold lane, so he knows the little inches that make up a mile. It's just not how he plays to protect his gold laner. This is tough.
Yeah, playing defensively is not ideal, especially when you're on Kufra. There's so much that you could be doing, but at the end of the day, it's still dependent on your teammates. And let's not forget, it's not only affecting Luis, it's also affecting Sagan. The way that he paths, he's fine. He's all right. Thank goodness. Whew.
Still on the black shoes, right?
Yeah.
And he's also rocking Purify. Actually, there's a couple over here. You're going to have to really play around that because even on the other side, RQ Akira has their Purifies as well to deal with a lot of this CC going to be thrown at them. So you can see it. Everybody except these gold laners getting ready for this. Renegade going to go ahead and use that Circle Eagle. Edward jumps in with a flicker right on Saigon. Gets that black shoes out himself. There's a spatial migration. Takashi's going to fall again. Luis tries to follow up, but he's got no backup as it's a double for Edward. And that's also going to be the turtle secured for Blacklist International.
Deja vu, they're still not done.
Still going to be going, putting the pressure in the mid lane. They don't want to let up here.
Beautiful stuff. Honestly, really beautiful stuff coming in for the side of Blacklist International. The way that they actually look to punish RRQ Akira is very simple, right? They're looking for Sagan specifically, and even for Edward, he has got his guns out. Gusta is fine.
Oh, no!
Hello.
Okay, jumps in with a spatial migration, though. Luis, thankfully there in time, but it looks like there might want to be a response.
You're seeing here how precise and how exact Blacklist International's movements are. Was this not just a replay of what happened in the first turtle fight? A big win up top, a kill, and then a rotate down bottom, and eventually they convert into a turret up top. They're trying to turn on Edward. Is this the right call?
I think at this point, RRQ Akira need to find anything that they possibly can. Look, Edward, he's trying to protect this turret.
Wow, he does. Keeps it alive, utilizing that Primal Wrath against the two members of RRQ Akira.
Like a Chad.
He won't let it go. This is like one of those ego challenge moments, right? First item, he decides to go, you know what, I'm going to get Blade Armor. I'm still playing for the team, and it's clear in these team fights that he knows his role. On the opposite side, RRQ Akira, they start to feel this snowball actually piling up. But the real question is, how do you actually approach these situations, especially since Blacklist International, they're not wasting movement. They're very efficient!
They're going to be able to find their target here. Sensui could be in trouble. He's going to fall. RRQ Akira grabbing their first kill here. No, wait, second. First kill for Saigon.
Yep, it's their first kill. And they spot out the jungler, Sensui, who, by the way, I just got a note, man. What's going on? His first item after the casual Molten Essence is the Brute Force Breastplate. Is there no better sign of success than excess? You usually don't build Brute Force Breastplate. Like, what was he thinking? Is it because of the damage coverage that RRQ Akira has?
Well, that also, as well as the fact that he might be looking for opportunities to actually out-farm his opponent, right? Especially you're up against a Boxio. Let's keep that in mind. The movement speed is going to be useful.
Well, they could use it here for this turtle. They're going to go for it. They jump in, but Sensui somehow steals the turtle away. The Retri on point. Takashi falls again. That's the third now. Blacklist International finding the punishes where they can.
Notorious for having some of the sharpest retributions, dare I say, the best of the best from all of the Philippines, Southeast Asia, the world. Sensui's retribution is notorious. It's world class.
Oh, that's why he's on Blacklist. Oh, whoa!
Still going to be going for it again, trying to hold down this mid lane. They're going to force him back, but that's just the objective for Blacklist International.
Really good moves coming out from specifically the Hitman, right? He is sniffing out where Luis is. He understands what Kufra wants to do, and if he's able to smother it really early on,
No!
no, he's fine. Look, it's Edwin, right? Agent Zero, he's not a prime target for RRQ. Oheb, however, that's where the target is on.
Yeah, no, Oheb's just been silently working. And it's the same you can say for Takash. He's just finding these little windows, sneaking through some value, keeping this gold lead under 5K, 8 minutes in. RRQ Akira, their map, their real estate, it's shrinking. Where are you going to find farm to put on Gusta La Gusta?
I mean, even with this, like, when they try to find their own moments, that's where the Guiding Wind plays such a integral part of this. Blacklist International is able to just pull someone to safety, and RRQ Akira, they're trying to just kind of catch up right now. Just struggle a little bit here. They're 5K behind nearly the 9-minute mark.
Gideon, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Oheb is a world away from Gusta La Gusta. That's almost 2,000 gold.
It's almost 2,000 gold here, right? And if we're talking about like questionable things that are being built right now, I'm already looking at Benedetta. He's going for the Blade of Heptases. It's like a semi-damage, but you're not going for Hunter Strike, which is generally the more efficient item because you need the movement speed to get in and out of these fights rather than the burst. And then he's building full tank after. So I don't know about Takashi right now, but I think he recognizes that his moves are too telegraphed, so we might as well get the stats to buff him up to make sure, even though his opponents know it's going to happen, that he will protect himself.
That's true. Again, we can only really theorize and wonder what's going on in these odd builds. Look at the damage. Look at Yue. Wow.
He is
Damage.
I mean, that's the best that we can actually put it, right? 12. Well, again, he is so far ahead of the curve. Yue is that important when it comes down to these to the peel from RRQ Akira, especially when they find that initial engage, and that's when we see the snowball actually happen, right? It's all part of the checklist. Unlock the Oheb, get into their jungle, start taking them down on neutral objectives, and from third turtle onwards, it's Blacklist International control.
I'm just wondering at this point, too, you know, as that is literally a free lord for Blacklist to take here as they march in, where can RRQ Akira find these wins, right? Because normally you would think, well, maybe split push would be an answer, but even at that situation, it's too tough to pull off right now.
Yeah, I think one thing for sure is that Sagan is really going to struggle in this match, right? The big game changer is going to be Takashi and Luis. They really need to communicate on the way they actually attack.
All right, luckily enough, RRQ Akira has respectable wave clear. They are going to successfully defend in mid. And I'd like to think you're right. And from very different angles, Gideon, Takash off the fight. He has to be very far away to try and, again, control that gold lead, control the map. For Luis, man, you got to get some defensive jumps in.
Yeah, they're going to have to. Again, they're going to lose this mid-turret. Sensuichi's going to jump in, finding the mark. Luis going to fall, and now King to follow. They just get obliterated in the base. Now Blacklist International with the lead, they're going to go ahead and continue to assault down the base turrets of RRQ Akira. Do they cap it out? Edward going to jump in, Takashi falls. Gusta La Gusta trying to keep the game going, using the blazing duet, but it's not enough as Blacklist International decisively takes game one.
Blacklist welcomes RRQ Akira into Manila with a dominant victory. Game one going over to Black.
Whew. Blacklist International feeling comfortable in their own skin, man. This is why the new iteration of Blacklist International is so exciting to watch. They're efficient, they sometimes can be aggressive, but more importantly so, like the Hitman himself, he is precise.
Not only with that, but again, if you look at just from start to finish of this game, the execution, every roll, every lane, just played the part, right? There, if you really look at it, it started early on, even into that first turtle. Things were at a stalemate, like we mentioned, into that first turtle, and then very quickly, you know, this is kind of the risk that you take too when you lock in that Benedetta. We wanted to see it in the draft. We got that, but unfortunately for Takashi here and for RRQ Akira, it just did not perform the way that they wanted it to, right? And maybe again, it was a little bit too much risk with the draft that they had here.
We're going to have a moment here to break down exactly what happened in game one. We can start with the draft. How about that? It was looking good, actually, because there were some signature picks coming up from RRQ Akira, but Blacklist International, the way that they drafted with Coach Master the Basics at the lead, he enabled each and every one of them and made them all more than just comfortable. He made all of them do more in the larger scale, in the big picture sense, that adds up to more than the sum of their parts.
I agree. I think that, at least for the side of Master of the Basics, he's going to arm his team with the best weapons possible that he deems worthy. But I think the players really went above and beyond. Like, for an example, we look at Edward. He is playing one of those heroes that is just known to sandbag. This Edith is, can't do much against it, right? Look at him, MVP for a reason. He shouldn't be winning that lane. He shouldn't be protecting those turrets like that, and yet he does.
Abun Jingjing scores a 503 KDA. Legend Zero, he's known responsible for about 100% of those kills in Game 1. He just knows whenever he comes in, whether by hook or by crook, his ult will deal damage, he will displace with his CCs, and he will win fights for Blacklist International.
I mean, we can see these moments in the highlights itself, right? Right at the very beginning of it all, the overall composition just denies Sagan from getting any valuable ults. And when you look at these moments, the telegraphed motions coming in from Takashi specifically, it allows a template for Blacklist International to look for these big punishes. Because again, nobody's going to be taking care of Sagan in these moments. Gusta Lagusta is looking for opportunities to jump in, but it's only on condition that Sensui or even Renegade don't have their CC. And in most of these cases, it's too late. Why go in with a Blazing Duet when they've already lost 2 or 3 of their members?
Oh, not only that, but as you're seeing here unfold again, Edward, yes, MVP on that Edith performance, but even Sensui, there's just so many options for them to initiate these fights. And then again, you have this fallback with the Hitman, the Renegade here with that Matilda pick. A lot of the times, even early on, they were just baiting out kind of mistake aggression from RRQ Akira, able to pull them away with that guiding wind alone.
I think for a lot of people, the easiest way to kind of explain this is feints, right? They're throwing out fake jabs. They don't know whether this is an actual engagement or not. And sometimes they catch RRQ Akira slacking because of it, because they're expecting one line of play, but there's multiple angles for Blacklist to initiate an attack. I think RRQ Akira's problem is everything felt a little too telegraphed, right? You go up to a turtle, what do you expect? I know for a fact that Takashi is going to come on in with the Electo final blow, and he, again, Blacklist communicates with everybody, we can punish this. Oheb just stun him immediately afterwards before he gets the eye for an eye, and we get a free kill.
Yep, looking at the item builds, there is the aforementioned Blade of Heptases built on Takashi's Benedetta, and then eventually building Tank. Something to note as well, Sensui with the Brute Force Breastplate. So yeah, I'm guessing he's also playing a game of inches, right? You proc those stacks, you move a little faster, you get a little bit more tankiness, and that's what you need in the early game to expedite your finish 11 minutes in. Looking at the damage taken, of course, there's a good bunch of it on King, the sandbag. Yue, we're not really talking about Yue much. He put Saigon in such an odd position, which I want to talk about now. Saigon, in both mental, mechanical, and technical senses, was struggling. What's this Valentina to do?
Well, there's nothing much he could do, right? And it's highly dependent on Louise specifically. So we can't just talk about like, oh, it's just the mid laners. No. It's a 2v2 in that mid lane, that this dance that's going on between Renegade as well as Yue, who are doing a phenomenal job. Because think about it this way, as Yue is clearing out these waves, what exactly is Renegade doing? He's not just moving to the opposite side of the map. He's clearing specific bushes that you expect Louise to be in to create the space necessary for Blacklist to have that overwhelming push on the opposite side.
And that's the role Renegade played in Game 1. He was the hitman and the wheelman. He was making sure that, all right, the coast is clear. All right, guys, we're getting on out of here. Guiding wind.
I can imagine. Yep. Sunglasses, sends the signal, the squad rolls up.
Renegade. That's it.
Hey, they made it work. And again, this